Hello, welcome everybody. We're here at our basics kitchen today, and we're looking at making a tofu BLT, or I guess you'd call this a TLT, right? Tofu, lettuce, tomato. This is a really fun recipe to make, whether you're here as a vegan, vegetarian, or an omnivorous person. This is a delicious recipe, and it's a really great technique to learn with tofu. So let's get into it. Tofu is made from soy milk, so it's a curdled and then pressed, just like cheese. Tofu's made using nigari, which is like salt water. So the soy milk is extracted from soybeans, and then we pour the nigari on it, and it curdles, and then you press it. So there's different types of tofu, from soft to firm to extra firm, super firm, and then silken. And before we get too much into this, I should mention you can ask questions during this class. Just go ahead and type them in and send them, and then they'll be relayed to me live during this class. We are live, so anything can happen. And please ask questions, make comments, but hopefully, but the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to make a delicious TLT. So we're going to do this all vegan. We're going to be using veganase. We're going to be using this nice vegan butter. And yeah, so anyway, let's get into it. The first step is you'll need a package of tofu. So the tofu's coming in these 1 pound blocks. But like I was saying, the texture of the tofu depends upon how long it is pressed. So it's really a matter of water content, and that's what creates the different textures of the tofu. So we're using extra firm, and you really want an extra firm or a super firm, which I've read about. I haven't really seen that in stores, but there is such thing as a super firm tofu, and that has less water. And with pressing out that water, it also ups the protein and the fat content of the tofu. It's just denser. Anyway, extra firm is ideal for this. I do have some other packs here. This is just, firm and then soft. So the softer styles of tofu and silken tofu, which you'll often see in those aseptic packs, which are great for like taking camping and things like that. Those are good for like the softer tofus, like custards and sauces and dressings, things like that. But when you're getting into something like this, where you're baking or sauteing, stir fries, things like that, you want to go at least firm to extra firm. And firm tofus are more like for scrambles and stuff like that. They're really good. So first step is, here's my extra firm tofu. And this is, by the way, I'm using this Ota brand, which we sell at our basics markets. And this is a local Portland brand, and it's actually the oldest tofu company in America that is still up and running. And they're 108 years they've been in Portland. And it's just a really nice fresh product. They use fresh soybeans, which they turn into soy milk, and then go through that process, as I mentioned, curdling and then pressing. All right, so you get your block of tofu out of the pack, drain the water off, and then you want to wrap it in a towel, like a dish towel, or paper towels work great. And then what I like to do is put it on something like this, and this is just I have a sheet pan that I put like a cooling rack on, And that's just to allow any extra water to pour off. And so the tofu is not sitting in that water, but really none. I've noticed with this ota, so far it's just all gone into the towel and I haven't gotten much water underneath. So, I mean, you can just put it on a plate as well, put a few towels or one linen towel, a few paper towels around it, and then some sort of weight. And I'm just using this small skillet. It's a few pounds. It's a nice amount of weight. You want enough weight to press on it, but you don't want it to crack or crumble your tofu. So just, you know, a little bit of weight. You can use like even a plate and then put a can of beans or something on there, and that works pretty good. So that's the draining, and you want to let it sit there for half an hour or so. Okay, so now we have the tofu in, and taking the water out allows, so tofu is sort of like a sponge. And so you're getting that water drained out. And then when you put it in your marinade, it's going to absorb the marinade really well. So let's get into this marinade a little bit. The result of this marinade is really going to give you a bacon-like flavor. It really checks all the boxes for like smoky, crispy, and salty kind of deal. And we're going to be using, for the smoke, I'm using this liquid smoke. Liquid smoke is simply smoke that's been captured in water. It's made with steam. The smoke is put into a tube and then condensed and then put into a bottle. So it is a natural product, and you can get it in different flavors. This is a mesquite. And then we've got the tamari, and tamari is really neat. You can do this recipe gluten-free as well by using gluten-free bread. And then tamari is gluten-free soy sauce, but unlike soy sauce, it has no wheat in it. It's a fermented, it's actually, tamari is the byproduct of making miso. So it's what floats to the top when miso is made. So it's another soy product. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of tamari, and you just need a small bowl for this marinade. So 2 tablespoons tamari. And then we're going to go ahead and use 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke. So we got our teaspoon of liquid smoke, and then half a teaspoon of maple syrup. And I'm using pure maple syrup. And that'll just give that nice little sweet note. And then we've got our neutral oil. I'm going to be using the avocado oil for both the fry aspect here as well as in the marinade. Avocado oil is a great neutral oil, and it has a really high smoke point. So it's good for saute and frying. We're just going to, so the recipe has a total of 4 tablespoons. We're going to use 1.5 tablespoons for this part. And then the rest is going to be used for our fry. Okay, so that's the simple marinade. And this marinade is just enough to, once it should all get absorbed into your tofu by the end of the marination. The last batch of this I made, I actually let it marinate overnight, and there wasn't a drop of the marinade left. It all just gets absorbed, and that's exactly what you want here. All right, so you're going to want a nice shallow wide pan just for that very reason, to let all the marinade get into the tofu slices. Okay, so I'm going to set the marinade aside for a second, and we're going to get into the block of tofu. So it's been drained and pressed for half an hour. Now we're going to cut it into 16 pieces. So really the most challenging part of this recipe is really the cutting and then the handling of this tofu, because it's going to be cut very thin, and the thinner the better. That's how you get that really nice crisp texture, which is just the signature of a BLT, right? And so first we want to cut it right in half. And then we're going to cut each of those halves in half. And then each of those quarters into 4 more slices. And then here's where it gets a little trickier. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that quarter in half. And as always, you want a nice sharp knife. Makes things a lot easier. And then once you have that quarter halved, we're going to go ahead and fillet the slice of tofu. So I like to put my palm on top and then start from the corner. And you want to just work into the tofu with a nice, broad, even pressure. You don't really want to wiggle back and forth. It's almost more like just one kind of stroke. You know, you can go back and forth a couple times, but you don't really want to wiggle around too much, because the tofu will tend to want to crumble. And then what I do at the very end is put it up like a book on its bookend and go straight down, and then let it separate. And that one I didn't do a great job on, but we'll luckily I have more opportunities to redeem myself, and I can go ahead and put those little slices, because in the end, a little slice is just fine, but it's just one more slice to deal with, right? All right, let's go again, and I'll pay more attention and maybe not talk so much, right? This is kind of like a Zen exercise. You gotta, we gotta really concentrate, and it's always this corner that gets me over here. So I want to keep that blade up, come across, and then there we go. So this is a good slice, and this is a semi not so great slice. All right. And again, maybe I'll have better luck with this one. Go across. And then we'll go ahead, do this one more time, and then we'll stop and move on to the next thing. I just got to get one right? Hey, did it. Okay. So it just takes practice, and obviously I can use more, but that's what's so great about cooking. You can keep practicing and you always get to eat your experiments. Okay. So as you can see, it's just a lot of technique in this slicing, and the knife is a handy tool here to transport your thin slices to your wide marination vat. And do one more.
Sam, while you're slicing,
yeah.
We did have a question
Good.
about neutral oil.
Yeah.
That could you use that in baking, and maybe give a few more details about it? If you want to repeat it, I don't know if people can hear.
Oh yeah, so neutral oil, it just means an oil which isn't carrying a lot of flavor along with it. So like Hey, I got one. All right, now we're talking. See, I just had to warm up a little bit, but like this is a really nice slice, but you can see it's just paper thin, right? So neutral oil just doesn't carry a lot of flavor with it. So like um, olive oil tastes like olives, which is great. And often, you want that nice note underlying your dish. But sometimes you see a recipe call for neutral oil. So that'll be like canola oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. These are all neutral oils. So they're kind of, they don't have so much flavor unto themselves. Avocado oil does have kind of a nice richness to it. So there's yeah, and often the neutral oils will also have a high smoke point, which means they're great for sautés and frying and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's say you got all your tofu cut, and then we have our little marinade deal here, and you're going to put some over the top. And then what I usually do with this this tofu, this dish, I will go ahead and do a couple layers. See, now I'm cooking. Just it takes a minute to warm up. And then so I'll do one layer, and then we'll go ahead and do another layer. And then put the rest of the marinade over. Now, what I would also recommend, well, what the heck, so now I have all my 16 slices approximately, because I messed up a couple, right? But the majority in here. And then what I like to do immediately is give them a flip. So this is, again, this is sort of just the trickiness of this, is just being really gentle and bringing the top layer down to the bottom layer and flipping the pieces. So then this allows the marinade to seep all the way through. And really, and this stuff really will, it'll just all get absorbed, and you should get a really nice, even marination. And there we go. And it's good. This is, some of these are some of them are rustic slices, but I think we got plenty to work with here. So that's what that looks like. And then you're going to let that, you can cover this and put it in the refrigerator, and you want it to marinate for at least 2.5 hours. The longer the better, really. Overnight is great. And then every half an hour or so, for at least that first couple hours, you want to flip them and do that rotation. And then it should, all that yummy flavor should get in there. Okay, so again, that's what that will look like. And then when you're ready to cook it off, we do give a tip here, which I would recommend, and that is to go ahead and bake the tofu first. It's not necessary, but what this does is, because we're working with such thin, delicate slices, is once you bake it, it's much easier to handle in your saute pan. So you might want to think about that. And I've done it both ways. And it also, another thing that baking will help you with is it will, you can have less fry time. So we're looking at 8 to 10 minutes really on each side of the tofu when you're just going straight into the oil. If you bake, it cuts it in half, you're looking at 4 or 5 minutes on each side. So to bake it, I just have some parchment paper down. If you don't have parchment paper, just lightly oil a plain sheet pan, it's fine. But if you have parchment paper, it cleans up easier. Put that down and then spray it or lightly oil by hand. and then lay out your tofu, put it in an oven. 375 is a good number for this. And you just want to go about 12 minutes, and it just firms it up, gets it halfway there. So here I have my preheated skillet, and we're going to put the remainder of our oil in there. So what I'm going to put in the 2.5 tablespoons of neutral oil. And again, this is the avocado oil. Canola oil would be good here also. So 2.5 tablespoons. And we're going to let that get nice and hot and just sort of move it around a tad. You want to spread it all evenly over your pan. And then I'll have some of this vegan butter, and this is a really, really good one that we carry in the basics markets, the Mayokos Creamery, cultured vegan butter. And then I also have this Vegenaise. And if you're not vegan, and you can use regular butter, and mayonnaise will be good here. So it feels like we're getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some tofu slices in, sizzling a little bit. There we go. You want to hear the sizzle? And so what you're really looking for as temperature wise is a medium heat, medium to medium high. You don't want oil jumping out at you and all that. And you don't want to burn the tofu. You just, what a lot of the process here is drying it out, and you're just drying it out, getting the crisp, the elusive bacon crispiness that is a lot of the appeal to having bacon, right? But yeah, this really captures that essence of that salty, crispy flavor profile that we look for with a BLT. Whew. And yeah, don't use your fingers for that sort of thing, right? So I have a spatula.
Question is, how does the nutritional yeast work?
Great question. So someone just asked about the nutritional yeast, and that's what's coming up next. So I have here some Bob's Red Mill nutritional yeast. Again, local Portland company. And we have this in the stores. And nutritional yeast is another, like the tamari is a ferment. Nutritional yeast is also a ferment from a similar lactobacillus, and it's a fungus, fungi, and it's grown on molasses. It's not, brewer's yeast is a different thing, different animal, if you will, that is grown, a byproduct of like brewing beer, and it's much more bitter. Nutritional yeast is grown on molasses, and then it often is supplemented with B vitamins, and so it's a great source of nutrition for vegans, for example, who aren't getting B vitamins from animal products. Nutritional yeast packs a lot of B vitamins. Some even have B12 in them. But anyway, the nutritional yeast, we're going to be using a tablespoon, and don't skimp out on the nutritional yeast. And we use about 1/4 of the tablespoon per sesh here. But really the thing to pay attention to is just really coat your tofu slices. So I'm just sprinkling the nutritional yeast right over the slices of tofu. and kind of getting a nice layer on there. And so I think the idea in the recipe is you're doing it in four batches. Here it looks like I'm going to be doing it in 2. So I'll probably, oh wait, no, it's 2 and then 4 sides, right? Because, or yes. So because you have 2 sides per tofu. So 1/4 of your tablespoon for each side of the batch of tofu, if that makes sense. Anyway, so each panful of tofu, you're going to be utilizing half of your nutritional yeast. You can see this guy in the middle is getting nice and crisp. I'm going to down the heat just a little bit because again, I don't want it to burn. I really just want to get it crisp. And now we're going to go for the other side with the nutritional yeast and sprinkling it on there. So the nutritional yeast is going to give us flavor. Nutritional yeast is famous for that umami flavor. It has a lot of the glutamates that we like to taste, our taste buds like. And then it gives us the nutrition. And then also it gives us some texture on here. So it's going to kind of act as, you know, if you bread something or more like dipping it in flour here, you get that nice crispy texture on the outside. So it's going to do that as well. And so I'm just going around flipping, you know, really, I probably am over flipping, but I'm a real busybody when it comes to just something like this. I just got to keep flipping, but really should relax, let it cook, and then flip it after it's nice and toasty. But you can see here, here's a good toasted piece. So what we want is a paper. You want like a paper towel. I'm just going to use, since I have this already, this parchment paper, something that's absorbent to put your pieces of crispy tofu bacon on as they finish. And you can see it's going quite rapidly because I had them in the oven first. But if you don't do that pre-bake step, it'll just take a little longer in the frying pan. And that's fine too. But yeah, you can see we have just really great texture here. Got the crisp edges, and we're definitely looking at some tofu bacon. We have a question. Do you always need to drain the tofu prior to cooking it? And I, you know, it really depends on what you're doing with it. It is handy anytime you want it to really absorb a marinade or a sauce or something like that. To give it a little drain is good, or a little press. Get that water out. Allows the sauce or marinade to come in. It's not. Sometimes, you know, you might want a little more of a watery or you know, I don't know, more what the word is. I don't want to use the word moist, but you know, a tofu that has more water content, and like maybe you're doing a salad or something like that where you want it to have that in there. And then you might be using a little bit of a softer tofu anyway, which will have more water content. And in that case, you might not want to press it or drain it. Another really neat texture trick with tofu is to freeze it. And when you freeze it and then thaw it, all the water just pours out. And then you get this incredible texture that's almost like pulled meat or something like that. And it's really great if if you want to do like taco meat, things like that, that sort of thing. You can just freeze a block of tofu, right in the packet, and then thaw it, and then drain it and press it, and then all the water just comes right out, and it's kind of amazing. Texturally, it's quite interesting. Okay, so there we go. You just do that step again with your remaining half, and you can see I have about half my brewer's yeast left. So just the same deal, but if you need to add a little more oil, like you can see a lot of that oil got absorbed. So you could put a little more oil to coat your pan and do some more tofu. But this is enough for now for our class to build a sandwich. And so I'm just going to take 4 pieces. So this recipe, and by the way, we have these beautiful recipe cards. They're available in our stores for free. We have a recipe wall with all our current seasonal recipes up there. And then on our website, basicsmarket.com, we have all our recipes available just online, and you can including this Veggie BLT. You can go there and look at those, as well as past classes like this one we're doing right now, and also some neat skills, just some basic skills on knife handling and things of that nature. So please go check out our website at basicsmarket.com, or come into a store and grab a recipe card like this. But this recipe card is to make 4 sandwiches. So you're going to get out of the 16 slices, 4 sandwiches. So that would be 4 slices per sandwich. So I have some lovely toast here, and we're going just with the classic wheat toast. So this is some whole grain bread, just toasted, and like I mentioned before, I'm going to go for these large. These look a little bigger. You can use gluten-free bread, and then this would be a gluten-free vegan dream. So there's our bread, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the vegan butter on one side, and then we'll put the mayonnaise on the other side. So there's the butter, and I just left this at room temperature so it would soften up a bit. Just like you can treat this this Mayokos butter, vegan butter, just as you would butter, regular dairy butter. And then the veganaise on the other slice, and put a nice healthy dose of that. Veganaise is some, they make a few different varieties. I know they use different oils, like there's a grapeseed oil one. This one is canola oil, water, brown rice syrup, cider vinegar, soy protein, salt, mustard, mustard flour, which sounds interesting, lemon juice. So it's oil. Just like mayonnaise, but with no eggs. It has similar stuff. All right, so there's our veganaise and our vegan butter. Now let's see, I mean, assemble this according to our directions here. So 3 or 4 slices of tomatoes. So I have some really nice slicer tomatoes here. I'm going to go ahead and core it So to get the core out, just go around the top with a paring knife is ideal. And just take out that core. A little stem side. And then we can slice this. And a serrated knife blade is really good for slicing tomatoes. Get a few nice slices. And that's a beautiful tomato. Boy, I have so many tomato plants I planted this year. I think I'm going to be in big trouble when they all start producing fruit. I grew a bunch from seed this year, and I was just putting seeds down, and then suddenly they, now I have plants and I don't know where to put them. I have pots everywhere. My garden is almost all tomatoes. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things with tomatoes, including plenty of TLTs. Okay, so let's go. Let's go ahead and put a few slices of the tomato, and that looks good. You just want, coverage, and then some bacon, and we're going to use 4 or, what do we call it? Taken? I don't know. Tofu bacon. Some nice crispy bacons, and you can, I don't know if you can hear the crunch, but there it is. Yeah, it really is eerie how much this tastes like bacon. Just the crispiness and just that little bit of that extra crispy edge. It's quite amazing. All right, so then go ahead and put our lettuce down. And this is just some nice green leaf lettuce. And I'll put it all in there because, again, we're going to get some nice crispiness from that lettuce core. And then you can put a little pinch of salt and pepper if you like. And of course, you can put anything else you want on here. Avocado, sliced onions, things of that nature would be delish. And then let's slice this up. So I'm going to go ahead and just slice it in half.
How would you store the tofu if you don't use it?
Oh, this tofu, you can just wrap it in foil. You could stack it, wrap it in foil, put it in the refrigerator, or put it in a Tupperware in the refrigerator, and it should last for I'd say you have a good 5 days on it. So yeah, you could definitely make this ahead of time and just have TLTs every day of the week. So this is what it's looking like, which looks really good, right? And perhaps we'll have a bite of it. Wow. Well, the question is, what other classes do we have coming up? Next week, we have the chicken kebabs class. It's going to be really a cool one. It's a Middle Eastern inspired kebab class with a great sauce. Good for the grill. We're definitely well into grilling season now. So yeah, please join me next week. This is pretty much it for this class, and you can keep asking questions. You can also email us questions. Go to thatbasicsmarket.com and ask us anything you like. And we will try to answer. But yeah, upcoming classes, got the kebabs class and a scones class after that, some berry scones, looking at seasonal fruit, and a really nice scone recipe. And then we've got a nutrition class on the following month on the 4th, which is smoothie bowls and beyond. And then we'll be looking at grilled chicken over peanut noodles, which is kind of a cool stir fry kind of class. And then a really neat strawberry olive oil cake. So please continue to join us for these online classes, and you can look at past classes on our website, basicsmarket.com. Find a lot of great recipes there, more about the store, and about our agriculture at Basics. We're growing stuff, producing stuff. We have a lot of in-house products. So check it out. And we have 4 locations: Lovejoy downtown, we're in Hillsdale, Sandy Boulevard in Northeast Portland, and then we have a meat market on Canyon Road in Beaverton. So please visit us, ask us questions and continue to cook. And on that note, happy cooking.